Okay, so we are going to start our today's lecture. So, hello everyone. This video lecture is specially made for the students of MIP College of Food Technology and other affiliated colleges to VNMKV University. Before we start our today's lecture, I have a request for all of you. Stay at home and stay safe and study hard. So let's begin with our today's lecture. Let's begin today's lecture with a short introduction to the subject. So, our subject title is Information and Communication Technology, that is ICT. This subject is available in second new semester, and the course code for this subject is FBM 122. Also, this subject carries credits of 2, 1 plus 1, which means 1 credit for theory and 1 credit for practicals. Also, this subject is also available for the BSc Agriculture students. The title for them is Agri Informatics, and this subject is available for agriculture students in third semester. The course code for the agriculture students is Comp 231 and the credit is 2, 1 plus 1. So as you can see, the credits for both the degrees subject is 2 1 plus 1. Okay, the only difference is the title for the BTech students is ICT and the title for BSc Agriculture student is Agri Informatics. So in today's lecture, whatever we will see, whatever topics we will study, that will be based on approved syllabus of VNMKV University. So let's see today's topic. So the unit number 4, we have to study the unit number 4, whose title is Operating Systems, and this unit is going to cover 7% of the syllabus. Okay, the title for today's unit is Operating System, unit number 4, and the weightage for this unit is 7%. Okay, so let's begin. So let's see what topics we have to study in this unit. The very first topic which we had to study in this unit is definition and overview of operating system. Then next topic in this unit is features and characteristics of operating system. Okay. Next topic is functions of operating system. We have to see or study the what are the different functions of operating system. Now after that we have a topic GUI and CLI interfaces or environments. After that we have to see the types of operating system. Now there are two types of operating systems available. First type is based upon users. So the type which is based upon users, in that we have single user single task operating system, then single user multitask operating system, multi-user multitask operating system. Okay, and the second type of operating system is based upon the functions, which means what functions the operating system is going to perform. Based upon that criteria, there are another types of operating systems. Those are batch operating system, time sharing operating system, distributed operating system, network operating system, and mobile operating system. So we have to study these topics in today's lecture. So let's begin with very first topic, that is definition of an operating system. So the general definition of an operating system is An operating system is a program that acts as an interface between the user and the computer hardware and controls the execution of all the programs. Okay. So as you can see from the definition, it clearly mentions that an operating system is nothing but a interface between user and computer hardware. Okay. Which means when if you want to interact with the computer system, we need some interface so that we can easily interact with the computer system. So an operating system is nothing but a interface which is present in between user and the computer hardware, and it also controls the execution of all the programs, which means whatever programs or softwares are running on your computer system, their execution is controlled by the operating system. So an operating system is a program that acts as an interface between the user and the computer hardware and controls the execution of all kinds of programs. Let's understand this definition with a diagram. So here, as you can see, this is a user, okay, and this is a computer system. Suppose this computer system does not have any operating system installed and this user wants to communicate with this computer system. So when the user wants to communicate with this computer system, it cannot access that computer system directly, or you can say that the user cannot interact with the operating system directly. Okay, why? Because there is no operating system or no interface is installed on this computer system. So to interact with the computer system, we have to install an interface or operating system in the computer. So here comes the role of operating system. So as you can see from the image, this is the user and this is the computer system, and between them there is a interface or software, or you can say program, which is called as operating system. So now when the user wants to interact with the computer system, he will first interact with the operating system, and in turn the operating system will interact with the computer system on behalf of user. Okay, so this diagram clearly mentions that an operating system is nothing but a interface which is present in between the user and the computer system. Okay, also it controls all the execution of the programs. Now every computer must have at least one operating system to run other programs. An application like Chrome, MS Word, games, etc. needs some environment in which it will run and perform its tasks, which means every computer system needs at least one operating system so that the user can interact with the computer hardwares. And the applications like Chrome, Microsoft Word, etc., these applications are dependent on operating system. So if a computer system does not have an operating system installed on it, which means the applications like Chrome, MS Word, games, etc. cannot be installed on that system. So these types of applications need some environment. That environment is nothing but operating system. The operating system helps you to communicate with the computer without knowing how to speak the computer's language, which means if you want to interact with the computer, and if there is no operating system installed on that system, then we have to communicate with the computer in its own language, that is the in programming language. So for example, if there is no operating system installed on some computer and we want to communicate or interact with that computer, so in this scene or in this scenario, we have to write a full program in any programming language to interact with the computer system. So it is very hard for every user to interact with the operating computer system by writing the programs. So if a computer system has an operating system installed on it, the user can easily interact with the operating system. It is not possible for the user to use any computer or mobile device without having an operating system, which means every device which is a digital device that requires an operating system to be running so that the user can perform all the operations or user can interact with the operating system. Okay, An operating system performs all the basic tasks like managing file, process, and memory. Okay, so the job or the function of a operating system is to first function is to in, allow the user to interact with the computer system and control the execution of programs, and second function of operating system is that it manages the files and process and memory available on the computer system. Thus, operating system acts as a manager of all the resources. So these processor, memory, RAM, hard disk drive, etc. These are called as the resources. So it is the duty of operating system to manage these resources. Thus, operating system becomes an interface between the user and the machine. And an operating system, since it is managing all the resources of computer system like memory, processor, hard disk drive, etc. That's why operating system is also called as resource manager. Now let's understand it with another diagram. Here you can see the very first diagram is hardware part. That is, here you can see this is processor, this is hard disk drive, RAM, mouse, keyboard. So this layer indicates the hardware part. Then comes the operating system. Okay, the very basic in the architecture of a computer system, the very basic layer is, or the very base layer is hardware, which includes processor, motherboard, RAM, keyboard, monitor, etc. Then upon that layer there is a layer called operating system, or you can say it is an interface. Then comes the applications such as Word, PowerPoint, etc. And upon top of all these layers there are users present. So if a user want to communicate with all these layers, okay, so the user will first communicate with the application like Word, MS Access, etc. And then that request will be sent to the operating system, and the operating system will interact with the hardware. For example, if you want to if you want to type a Word document, so the operating system takes the responsibility of all the input and output functions. So now let's see what are the mostly used operating systems available in the market. So the very popular operating system example is Microsoft Windows. After that we have Linux, Unix, and Apple Mac OS X for desktop computers, and iOS for mobile devices. And Google Android is also an example of operating system which runs on mobile devices. So let's move towards the second topic, that is features, or it is also called as characteristics of an operating system. So operating system has some very important features and characteristics, and those are the very first characteristics of operating system is it protects and supervises the components of the computer system like processor, memory, hard disk drive, etc. The second characteristic is it allows disk access and file system access. Okay, so it is a characteristic or feature of a operating system that it allows us to create files and folders on the computers. Then next feature is it provides network and security. Okay, whatever network and security systems are installed on your computer, those the operating systems responsibility is to provide the security to those networks. Next feature is it controls the execution of programs. Whichever programs or softwares are running on your computer system, their execution is controlled by the operating system. Next feature is memory management. Okay, so remember, whenever in computer science we talk about memory, it means RAM and not hard disk drive. Okay, in computer science memory is called as RAM and hard disk is called as secondary storage. So memory management means operating system, it is the duty of operating system to manage the RAM of the computer system. Next feature is handles input and output operations. Okay, and the next feature is error detection and handling. If some error occurs in the computer system, then it is the responsibility of operating system to detect those errors and handle in a smooth way. Next is resource allocation. Okay, so whatever resources are available in the computer system like RAM, hard disk drive, etc., processor, those resources must be allocated to the applications like Word, PowerPoint, Chrome, etc., and it is the duty of operating system to allocate these resources to the applications. So now let's move towards the third topic, that is what are the functions of operating system, or you can also say it as jobs of operating system or tasks of operating system. Okay, so let's have a look at the functions of operating system. The very first and important function of any operating system is process management. It states that process management helps operating system to create and delete processes. It also provides mechanism for synchronization and communication among processes, which means whatever the processes that are running on the computer system, those processes are managed by the operating system. It is the function or job or duty of operating system to manage those processes, and if some process wants to communicate with other process, then the communication is done by the operating system. Second function of operating system is memory management. Again, here the term memory means RAM. So memory management module performs the task of allocation and deallocation of memory space to programs in need of these resources. Okay, so if any application needs some RAM space, then it is the duty of operating system to allocate that RAM space or memory space to that application. Next function is file management. It manages all the file related activities such as organization, storage, retrieval, naming, sharing, and protection of file, which means whatever files are created and stored on the hard disk, that files and folders are managed by the operating system. Okay, file related activities are the activities such as creation of file, deletion of file, and renaming of file. So all these operations are handled by the operating system. So it is the function or duty or job of operating system to manage the file related activities. Next function is device management. Now device management keeps tracks of all the devices. This module also responsible for this task is known as the IO controller. It also performs the task of allocation and deallocation of devices. Okay, so whatever devices that are connected to your computer system like keyboard, mouse, monitor, etc., those the those devices are managed by the operating system. Next function of operating system is secondary storage management. Now secondary storage means your hard disk drive or pen drive or CD drive. So system have several levels of storage which include primary storage, secondary storage, and cache storage. Instructions and data must be stored in primary storage or cache so that a running program can reference it, which means it is the duty of operating system or function of operating system to provide memory space to the application so that they can run smoothly. Next is security. Security module protects the data and information of a computer system against malware threat and authorized access. Okay, so one of the most important job or function of operating system is to provide the security to the computer system and to protect all the information or data stored on that computer system. Next is job accounting. Keeping track of time and resources used by various jobs and users. Okay, so whatever programs and applications that are running on the computer system, if they need some resource, then it is the duty of operating system to allocate those resources to a particular application. This is called as resource management and job accounting. So now let's move towards the fourth topic, that is GUI and CLSI environments. Okay, so every operating system comes with an interface or environment. Either that environment either would be GUI or CLI. Now let's see what are GUI and what is CLI environments. The main difference between GUI and CLI is that the graphical user interface. Okay, GUI stands for graphical user interface. So the graphical user interface allows the user to interact with the system using graphical elements such as windows, icons, menus, while okay. So GUI stands for graphical user interface, which means it is an interface through which the user can interact with the computer system. And to interact with the computer system, here the user can click on any icon, windows or buttons. Okay, so simply it means if a operating system has a GUI interface, that means it will show you buttons, icons, etc. to interact with the computer system. For example, if you want to open some software, so if what we do, we double click the icon of that software and that software will opens in the computer system. Okay, so this type of interaction is called as graphical user interface. Now the exact opposite to is that is CLI, that is command line interface. So while command line interface, that is CLI, allows the user to interact with the system using commands like MS-DOS. Okay. So in GUI, what happens if you want to open any software, then you double click the icon of that software and that software will be opened. Where if the operating system has a CLI, that is command line interface, then you have to type command for every action. Okay, for example, if you want to open some software and that computer has CLI interface, then you cannot double click any icon because there is no icon present on the desktop. So if you want to open any software, then you have to type the command to open that software. A CLI interface or environment is speedy as compared to GUI. Hence, companies and organizations prefers to run their servers on CLI-based operating systems like Linux and Unix. Okay. Now, if we compare the speeds of CLI and GUI, the CLI interface is speedy as compared to GUI interface. Okay. Hence, companies like or companies and businesses and organizations which runs their own server has an interface of CLI. Now let's understand this concept by images. So as you can see here, this image represents a graphical user interface. Why? Because it has some icons and buttons on the desktop. Okay, while this environment represents command line interface, which means there is no icon or buttons present in this desktop. You have to, if you want to interact with this type of system, then you have to type the commands. Now let's move towards the fifth topic, that is types of operating system. So first of all, we will see the types of operating system based upon users, which means how many users an operating system can handle at a time. Based upon that, there are several types of operating system. So the very first type in this category is single user, single task operating system. Now what is it? As the name implies, this operating system is designed to manage the computer so that one user can effectively do one thing at a time. The Palm OS for Palm handheld computers is a good example of modern single user, single task operating system. Okay. So what is single user, single task operating system? It is nothing but a type of operating system which allows only one user to perform only a single task at a time, which means if this type of operating system, if some user wants to use this type of operating system, then he or she can perform only one operation or one task at a time, and this type of operating system has only one user. For example, as you can see in this image, this user is accessing the computer. So at a time, at a moment, only one user can access the computer, and after that only the user can be able to access only one application at a time. That's why it is called a single user, single task operating system. The second type is multi-user, multitask operating system. This type of operating system most people use on their desktop and laptop computers today. Microsoft's Word and Apple macOS platforms are both examples of operating systems that will let single user have several programs in operation at the same time, which means single user, single task operating system is nothing but a type of operating system. In this type of operating system, the user is only one, but he or she can perform more than one task at a time. That's why it is called a single user multitask operating system. Now, example of these operating systems are Microsoft Windows, that is Windows 10, Windows 7, Windows XP, etc., and Apple's Mac OS X. So as you can see in this image, this user is accessing the computer, and now the user is only one and he is performing more than one task. So that's why this type of operating system is called as single user multitask operating system, which means in this type of operating system there is only one user will be present at a time, and that user can perform more than one task. Now the next type is multi-user multitask operating system. A multi-user operating system allows many different users to take advantage of the computer's resource simultaneously. The operating system must make sure that the requirements of the various users are balanced, and that each of the programs they are using has sufficient and separate resources, so that a problem with one user doesn't affect the entire community of the users. So in this type of operating system there are multiple users present, and every user can access the computer system at the same time, plus every user can perform multiple tasks at that moment. Okay, so the example of this type of operating system is Unix and mainframe operating systems. So here, as you can see in the example image, this is the computer system, and this is the user 1, this is user 2, this is user 3, 4 and 5, and all these users are using this computer system at the same time and performing more than one task. That's why this type of operating system which is installed in this computer system is called as multi-user multitask, because it allows multiple users to access the computer system at the same time. Now let's see the types of operating system based upon functions. So there are some types of operating systems which are divided which are derived as based on the functions performed by the operating system. So the very first type in this is that batch operating system. Some computer processes are very lengthy and time consuming. To speed up the same process, a job with a similar type of needs are batched, grouped together and run as a batch. Okay, so in this type of operating system, if more than one user want to access the system, then he or she cannot directly access or interact with that computer system. Why? Because this type of operating system is very complex. So in this type of operating system, if some, for example, some user want to type a document and other user wants to play a game, want to print a document, so there will be operator present at the computer system. That operator will collect similar jobs from the user, such as, for example, 5 users want to type a document and 10 users want to print a document. So the operator will collect those jobs from the users, and it will execute those jobs on with the help of operating system batch by batch. That's why this type of operating system is called as batch operating system. Okay, so now this type of operating system is used in banks and large organizations. So as you can see in the diagram, this is the CPU, means computer system, and this is the operating system. Okay, so job 1, job 2, job n, which means whatever the jobs that the operator will collect all the jobs from the users and group it them depending on their type, and similar types of jobs will be grouped in one batch and executed. Now the advantages of this type of operating system is that it allows multiple users can share the batch operating system, which means more than one user can share the same operating system. The idle time for batch system is very less, which means if one batch has been executed, then second batch will be executed immediately. It is easy to manage large work repeatedly in batch systems, which means if a company, for example, if a company has this type of operating system and it performs a repeatedly task, such as it is performing creation of documents, and there is only one job, that is creation of documents. So in this scenario, this type of operating system will be helpful. Now let's see the disadvantages of this type of operating system. The computer operators should be well known with the batch systems, which means whatever the operator is present at the computer system, he or she must know all the configuration and basics of that system. Batch systems are hard to debug, which means if some error occurs in the batch operating system, then it is very hard to identify and correct that error. It is sometimes costly, which means the setup of this type of operating system is costly as compared to others. The other jobs will have to wait for an unknown time if any job fails, which means if one batch of jobs is executing and that batch takes much time as compared to other jobs, so the other jobs have to wait until the first job of task will be finished. Now the next type is time sharing operating system. In this type of operating system, each task is given a time window to be executed so that all the tasks work smoothly. Each user gets time of CPU as they use single system. These systems are also known as multitasking systems. The task can be from single user or from different users. The time that each task gets to execute is called quantum. When a time window is over, operating system switches over the next task. Okay, so in the scenario of a time sharing operating system, what happens? Every task or every operation will be assigned a given time. For example, if a user wants to type a document, then that user will be given a some particular time, let's say for 10 minutes. Okay, so 10 minutes time window will be allowed to perform the document typing, and after that time is over, next job will be executed. So the time which is allotted to each job is called as quantum, and this type of operating system is also called as multitasking operating system. The example of this operating system is Unix. Okay, so basically these types of operating systems share the time of the processor between the jobs. That's why it is called as time sharing operating system. Okay, now advantages of these types of operating system are: each task gets an equal opportunity, less chances of duplication of software, CPU idle time can be reduced. And disadvantages of this type of operating system are reliability problem. One must have to take care of security and integrity of user programs and data communication problem, etc. Okay, so let's move towards the next type of operating system, that is distributed operating system. A distributed operating system uses multiple central processors to serve multiple real-time applications and multiple users. Data processing jobs are distributed among the processors accordingly. The processors communicate with one another through various communication lines such as high-speed buses or telephone lines. These are referred to as loosely coupled systems. Processors in a distributed system may vary in a size and function. These processors are referred to as sites or nodes. Example of this type of operating system is local. So distributed operating system is nothing but operating system which works on distributed architecture. Now what is distributed architecture? In distributed architecture, there are more than one computer systems available. For example, as you can see in this diagram, this is one computer system, this is another computer system, and these are other computer systems. So every computer system has its own CPU, memory, and hard disk drive, and the operating system works on all these computer systems as a one operating system. Okay, so if any job has to be performed in this type of operating system, that job will be distributed on all the computers available in the system. So these types of operating systems are also called as loosely coupled systems, and each computer system in this type of operating system is called as sites or nodes. Now, advantages of distributed operating system are failure of one will not affect the other network communication as all systems are independent from each other. Okay, which means if one computer system, okay, for example, this computer downs or gets failed, then other computers will do the remaining job as smooth manner. Why? Because there is more than one computer systems available in this architecture. Next advantage is electronic mail increases the data exchange speed. Since resources are being shared, computation is highly fast and durable, which means resources like memory, CPU of all the systems are shared. That's why the computation of any or execution of any job is fast and durable. Loads on host computer resources. Okay, so it will reduce the load on host computers, and the load will be distributed to other computer systems available in the architecture. These systems are easily scalable as many systems can be easily added to the network, which means if this type of architecture has suppose 5 computer systems available, so we can easily add the sixth or seventh system, or we can easily remove the systems from the architecture. Delay in data processing reduces. Now look at the now let's see the disadvantages of this type of operating system, that is distributed operating system. Failure of the main network will stop the entire communication, which means whatever the network is using for the communication, if that network gets failed, all the execution of the programs will be stopped. To establish distributed systems, the language which are used are not well defined yet. These types of systems are not readily available as they are very expensive. Not only that, the underlying software is highly complex and not understood well. Okay, so if someone wants to install this type of distributed operating system, then he or she must know that this type of operating system is very costly and hard to set up. Now the next type of operating system is network operating system. These systems run on a server and provide the capability to manage data, users, groups, security, applications, and other networking functions. These systems, this type of operating systems allow shared access of files, printers, security, applications, and other networking functions over a small private network. Now, the example of this type of operating system is Microsoft Windows Server, Linux, Unix, and BSD. And network operating system is also called as tightly coupled operating system. So it is exactly opposite to the distributed operating system. In this type of operating system, there is a one computer system which is called as server, and the operating system will be installed on the server, and other systems are called, and other computer systems are called as clients. Okay, now advantages of network operating system is that it is highly stable centralized servers. Security concerns are handled through servers. New technologies and hardware upgradation are easily integrated to the system. Load on host computer reduces. Server access are possible remotely from different locations and types of systems. Now let's look at the disadvantages of network operating system. Servers are costly, which means if you want to set up this type of operating system setup, then you have to use the main server, and their server is very expensive. User has to be dependent on central location for most of the operations, which means any operation has to be performed by the user, then that user must be present at the central location. Maintenance and updates are required regularly. So this type of architecture requires maintenance and updates on regular basis. Now next type of operating system is real-time operating system. These are used when time requirements are very strict, like missile systems, air traffic control systems, robots, etc. Okay, so real-time operating system means a operating system which is used to process real-time data. Now, what is real-time data? Real-time data means a data that is generated from live actions. For example, the weather forecast office uses this type of operating system to gather the details about the environment like rain, how much rain is going, how much rain is happens, and temperature, etc. Okay, so whatever data that is generated from the live actions, that is called a real time data, and the operating system which processes this type of real data is called as real time operating system. Now, this type of operating system is mostly used in missile systems, aircraft traffic controller, and robots. Now, there are two types of real-time operating system. The first is hard real-time operating system. These operating systems are meant for the application where time constants are very strict and even the shortest possible delay is not acceptable. These systems are built for saving life like automation, automatic parachutes or airbags, which are required to be rapidly available in the case of any accident. Virtual memory is almost never found in these types of systems. Okay, so the one type of real-time operating system is hard real-time operating system. In that, there is a very time. The time will be very strict, which means whatever applications are running on the this type of operating system has to perform their task in a limited time. The examples of these types of operating system are automatic parachutes. Okay, so whatever automatic parachutes uses the this type of real-time operating system. Next type is soft real-time operating system. These operating systems are for mobile applications where for time constant is less strict. Okay, so it is exactly opposite to the hard real-time operating system. Example of this type of operating system is scientific experiments and medical systems. Now the real-time operating system is also called as RTOs. Now let's see the advantages of real-time operating system. Maximum consumption, which means maximum utilization of devices and system, thus more output from all the resources. Next advantage is task shifting, which means time assigned for shifting tasks in these systems are very less. For example, in older systems it takes about 10 microseconds in shifting one task to another, and in the latest system it takes 3 microseconds. Focus on application, focus on running applications and less importance to applications which are in a queue. Real-time operating systems in embedded systems. Since size of programs are small, RTOs can be used in embedded systems like transport and others. Now, what are the disadvantages of real-time operating system? Limited task, which means this type of operating system can perform a limited task. Device driver and interruption signal. It needs specific device drivers and interrupt signals to respond earliest to the interrupts. Okay, which means if this type of operating system we use, then we have to develop a special type of device driver that will act as an hardware controller. Complex algorithms. The algorithms are very complex and difficult for the designer to write on. Okay, now next and the last type in this category is mobile operating system. A mobile operating system, sometimes also called as mobile OS for short, is an operating system that runs only on mobile devices. Consider it as the backbone of all your favorite applications and programs. It's basically the system on top of which everything else sits. Okay, so the mobile operating system is nothing but a type of operating system which is installed on mobile devices like mobile phones and other small or portable devices. Okay, portable devices means a device that can be easily carried to anywhere like mobile phone. So every mobile phone has an operating system. So this type of operating system which is installed in mobile or portable devices is called as mobile operating system. The very famous example of this type of operating system is Google's Android operating system and Apple's iOS operating system. As you can see here, the very popular example of mobile operating system is Google's Android, then Apple iOS, BlackBerry iOS, which runs on BlackBerry smartphones, and Windows mobile operating system, which runs on Windows mobile phones. So these are the types of operating systems based on functions. Now the advantages of operating system are portable, which means you can easily carry the devices, which means the device which has a mobile operating system is portable in nature, which means you can easily carry that device to anywhere. For example, a mobile phone. Convenient to use and perform day-to-day tasks. It is convenient on this type of operating system to perform day-to-day tasks. Now the operating system, mobile operating system has some disadvantages, and those are under power as it operates on battery power, which means as compared to desktop, the operating system which is installed in mobile devices is operates on battery power, which means a mobile operates on battery. Okay, there is no constant source of power available for the mobile. We charge mobile, and that current is stored in the battery. So all the systems of mobile, including operating system, is running on the battery power. So this type of operating system is under power, which means it cannot perform high or loaded operations, cannot be used for professional work like software development. So you cannot do a software development on mobile operating system. Slow as compared to desktop operating system. Okay, so if someone wants to perform a task that requires a very speed, for example, someone wants to edit a video, then if that video will be edited on mobile phone, that will become slow. And if someone wants to edit that video on desktop operating system, so the desktop operating system will perform it very fast as compared to others. So this is the end of our today's unit. If you have any questions or queries, please comment in the comment section, and make comment in the comment section with your name. Okay, thank for watching.